This is the film on how to remove the power divider from transport tractor. Here the students are preparing to lift the vehicle. They're using a large air jack. It's a 17-ton air jack to raise the vehicle in preparation for removal of the differential. The air jack is placed under the frame of the vehicle. Here you can see the air jack being placed under the frame of the vehicle. There's the vehicle. There's the arm of the air jack so that they can raise it. Sure and put the safety stands under the vehicle, an approved safety stand, and then let the jack down so that safety stand has the weight of the vehicle on it. You can also leave the jack there if you want to, but be sure the weight is on the safety stands so they cannot get kicked out of place. You've got to hammer back right on that yoke. No, right there. If you hammer anyplace else, you'll...
Pretty good idea.
Hit it again. Get your aim straight and hit it again. Now you can see your caps coming out. Drive it some more. Just don't hit the drive line tube. You'll dent it. Off where your hand was. That one. But then you can drive down on it. Otherwise you got to drive up and fight gravity of lifting the drive line. Okay, this one happens to be easy enough to come out, you see, with the weight of the drive line and a little effort from you, you can pull that one out without any problem. Okay, now tip your U-joint sideways and let it all the way down. That's it. Now tip it, sliding your drive shaft forward. And that drive shaft will slide in that slip joint. This is pretty hard to twist. You may have to get a pry bar in there and push the drive line forward. Keep it rotated so the drive line cross is straight up and down. The ones that you have the caps off from. Now you can keep pushing the drive line forward on the slip joint. That's it. Okay, you got her out. Now, to get that out of your way, you can actually loosen this nut right here on your slip joint. That nut will turn. And then the slip joint will come apart. That's it. And that keeps the dirt out of the caps, and then you don't lose the parts.
It's just sitting right next to here, and then they will bang up while we're moving this.
Now you're going to be working with that yoke later on, so I wouldn't put the bolts back in it.
It's just
Just put them in a can, just put them someplace where you won't lose them. Removing the rear drive line from the through shaft. You notice that you can just use a 1/2-inch drive ratchet to fit that drain plug because it's a square receptacle. Makes a pretty handy tool to remove those drain plugs.
Jeez. That is
Okay,
old.
is it dirty?
It is old.
It's got that
Okay, if that's got...
good tap on the bottom.
Okay, don't put that back in the bucket. That's better off to put that someplace else. Anything like that, you know, you can spend a lot of time waiting for it to drain. Just go ahead and put your drain plug in. Saves time, and then you can, you're low enough that you won't run oil out on you while you're working on it. You can clean it up after.
So check for getting these out.
What?
So check for getting these out. And that came out back.
In the middle of that axle. Hit it hard.
Man, I'm afraid I hit my hand on there.
Okay, lower your, come on a little bit of an angle. So you, that's it. Now, you can learn something. There's going to be grease come out of there, right?
Uh-huh.
So you might get a pan to catch it, or shove the axle back in for a minute so it'll stop running.
I got it.
Grab a hold and give her a pull. Stand the axle up someplace or lay it down someplace where it's safely not going to tip over. Four nuts that hold the flange for the through shaft in, and then pull the through shaft back out of the differential. Go ahead, pull it out. Sometimes that through shaft is difficult to remove, and you have to tap it with a soft hammer to get it loose. You have to get the
Moment of truth.
transmission jack at the right height. If you get it too high, you put a bind on the bolts. If you get it too low, you put a bind on the bolts.
Just right.
So now watch that it doesn't roll on you. Keep your feet away from it. If something happens that it does break loose and fall on the floor, at least we don't want your feet smashed. Starting to open up. Now if it gets open more at the top than it does at the bottom, well, then you can tell that it's crooked and you have to adjust your jack to compensate for it.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit higher, huh?
Right. You can see it raise up as it bumps over the banjo when you jerk it, which means just raise it up. She will come right out. Now back it up a little more. Now let your jack down. Don't let it down fast. Open your valve and lower it down. Find out you can't hold that.
Well, let's see. There it went.
starting to come?
Go ahead, jerk it off.
Now you're going to get a little oil out of there. You can't get away from all of it. Okay. Very good. Now pull it out. Take it off and show here that this is broken. It's part of the bearing that's still in the still in the unit. Here you can see the balls are separated there, so we can see those now. Now you can just grab your pliers and pull each section out after you.
Somebody holding this or hold it?
Yeah, good question. How are you going to hold it?
I'm trying it.
Okay, you put a pry bar in that hole. Now take your spider gears out. Now they may be locked in that case enough that you'll have to tap it in that little hole,
Maybe
or
take
put
a
a screwdriver in there and pry it out. Don't hit your hand.
Here's a tapping device.
You'd have to use a punch and tap, or get a screwdriver behind it and pry it up there. Your spider gears. Now you have pull out your axle gear. That's it. That's enough.
Just push the record button again.
Yep.
Which one?
Each spider, or makes the spider rotate. So let's open it up. Now, if the spider rotates, this whole thing turns as a unit, just like that. If the axle gear, this would be the same as an axle gear in the regular differential.
So this comes through the through shaft, right?
Now the through shaft goes right through the center of this.
So
This one hooks on to here, which is, this drives the front differential. Okay? This gear is designed to drive the rear differential. You can see this is a smaller hole. So the through shaft goes into this one. Okay, now if this spider, leave them on. If the spider rotates as a solid unit, it's going to try to rotate this gear, and it's going to try to rotate this gear. And if each driving axle is on the tar, so there's no slippage, then this will revolve and this will revolve.
Opposite ways too, right?
No, they're all revolving as a unit. They all turn as the same direction in that case.
Is it just because
Okay, the whole thing, including this portion here, rotates just like this. no movement in the spider gears. Okay, that means it's going to drive this gear, and it's going to drive the one that's on the bottom. That's going to drive both differentials. Okay?
Because there's something holding this thing still.
Well, the wheels are on the tar, and if the wheel rolls and doesn't slide, it has to turn. If the wheel rolls, then the through shaft has to turn, and if the front driving wheels roll, then this gear right here has to turn. So it all has to turn as a unit. All right, now let's say that the front driver is on tar and the rear driver is on ice. Okay, that means then when you put power to it, this one won't turn because it's on tar. The bottom one can spin. So this would be holding this one because it's on the tar, and this will still rotate, and now the gears rotate, and that turns the back driving axle. And you don't go anyplace because the wheels are spinning.
Well, this is turning that back one, so turning this one. So that's be the front one, isn't it? If this is sitting still.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I just said back and front. I got them backwards. We've locked up the back driver. You're right. We've locked the back driver and the front driver.
Does that mean you don't got power to either one on either side of your wheels in the back?
Well, the back wheels are spinning. There's power back there, but it's on ice, so it's spinning. And there's no drive on here because it's easier to spin the wheels than it is to drive the truck. Okay? Still got a question in your mind.
Bolt out, and this bolt is very difficult to get out. You have to put a wrench on it and pull. As you turn it, there are no threads on the bolt. It's just a tight fit in the case. Pull the bolt out, you get the spring, the washer. Yeah. Then you can pull out the shift fork and the locking gear. You don't want now work it evenly. There you go. And there may be shims underneath it, and there may not be shims under it. Do what she was going to do. You're going to make a notation as to where that flat is so you can line that flat up again. Yeah. That flat has to okay, very good. You're going backwards. Push it, that's it.